What you imagine, what you spend time focusing, inner conversating with, is what you will experience. I'm sure this is something that you've definitely heard before, especially if this is not your first manifestation video. But today we're going to talk about that imagination of ours just a little bit more deeply, including why and how you can become an entirely new individual simply by utilizing this little muscle of ours. I call it a muscle, the imagination. It's your complete and utter tool, connection to source. So why do so many of us blow it off as unimportant fantasy, wishful thinking? Hello, my fellow flawless, limitless, sexy, sassy, saucy HBICs. How are you on this lovely morning, afternoon, or evening? How are you all? I hope you're all doing fabulous. I hope you're all choosing to be the versions of yourself that have exactly what you want. I hope that's what you're doing. I also hope you're having a lovely, lovely Manifestation Monday. If you would like to work with me in any way, shape, or form, all of that information is in the drop box below, including information about my 3 channel memberships. I do have 3 channel memberships for your pleasure. I encourage you to look at the VIP, the Advanced Manifestors. That's the group where we deep dive, expand our awareness, everything there is to know about manifestation group. That's the group to deepen your understanding so you're less bothered by your 3D reality, and I would say in becoming even more of an expert conscious manifester. That group gives you access to all the other channel memberships, which is the exclusive lives. That group is where we talk success stories only and tips and tricks. And the hot seat group, that's the group you get in and you can ask me anything you want about your current reality or circumstances. But the VIP group gives you access to all of those and all the replays and private live streams that are random, as well as another thing that's coming. So I encourage you to look at that one, like I say in every video. If this is the first time you've ever seen one of my videos, well, how you doing? I'm Kimberly, and I'm absolutely obsessed with getting what I want, getting it in a timely fashion, and knowing everything there is to know about manifestation. So if you can handle this sass, I would love for you to subscribe and come back and see me as we are busy getting to understand manifestation more and how to get exactly what we want. I would really love it if you became my new friend. So please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments below that you're my new friend. If I see that comment, you will hear back from me. Also, to all of you who like the video as soon as they start, can't appreciate you more. That helps the videos get out to other people that need to be awakened to manifestation. So I appreciate you hitting that like button. And if you get anything out of my content, that is how you can contribute to this channel to help a bitch out, is hitting the like. Just hitting that freebie button, hitting the like. So it's appreciated. As I said, we're going to be talking about the imagination today. I put up a video a few days ago, talking about number 1, going all in, no longer half-assing this, really giving your full self to this, to the understanding of who you are, and therefore being a little more on the disciplined side on where you're letting your mind go, where you're marinating. Also, some content was put up in what are you supposed to do? When you want to manifest something, when you want to experience a change in your reality, just what the hell are you supposed to do? Well, my answer is usually it's to become the version of yourself that has what you're manifesting. And quite often, I get questions or comments hitting everything around here is like my desk stuff, and I keep hitting papers. Okay, sorry. The question I often get asked is, how am I supposed to know what it would feel like, Kim, if I had what I wanted? How am I supposed to know? I never had it before. I never had the experience before. And sorry. From the logical, literal perspective, I understand your question, and I understand why it might feel confusing to how are you supposed to know? How are you supposed to step into a feeling or a knowing or the understanding of what it would feel like to be in a relationship if you've never been in a relationship, or in a relationship with the person you're manifesting, or if you're manifesting money? Well, how am I supposed to know what it is to, not worry about money, not worry about how to make ends meet? It's not that I don't understand the question. I do. And there was a comment recently, which I do appreciate, because they started the comment with, Kim, I love you. I love your videos. But how in the hell am I supposed to know what it feels like if I don't have it? First of all, my normal comeback to that is, well, then why do you want your manifestation? Why do you want it? Why do you want to be in a relationship with your specific person? If you're manifesting new love, why do you want to be in a loving relationship? Why do you want the money you're manifesting? Why do you want more, better health? Why do you want the new job, the new car, the new house? Why do you want these things? Your mind had to have given you an answer with that question. It's because you do know. You do know what it feels like to have whatever your desire is. You do know. Just like when you were little girls or boys playing with your dolls or playing with the cars and G.I. Joes and army stuff. And as kids, don't you remember pretending to be the character you were playing? That's your imagination. We were conditioned to believe that was fantasy, but it's not fantasy. The only reason why those things maybe did manifest in your world, like you becoming Barbie or I becoming strawberry shortcake, is because of the conditioning and the beliefs as children that stuff wasn't real. The moment we wake up to conscious manifestation, we realize all the fuckery that we have spent time focusing on, worrying about, asking ourselves, what if about, was us using our imagination. So what are you using your imagination for? For joy, for glory, for changing your life, or for your detriment? Every single thing regarding manifestation is centered around thought, thinking. How do you get into a state of consciousness? You think. You think a thought. How do you embody a feeling? You think a thought. Everything we do of every day of our life requires thinking, requires thought. So the reason why we get so tough about this is going to require some discipline if you were someone that was naturally really negative, naturally sees or expects the worst in every situation. Someone that is very attached to their 3D reality, to the land of the senses. Manifesting is going to require the discipline to no longer allow yourself to marinate. We don't need any more negative seasonings, okay? We're starting a brand new habit. But we were told we would be rewarded for getting our mind in order. We were promised. Man becomes what he imagines. He has a self-determined history. Imagination is the way, the truth of the life revealed. Truth depends upon the intensity of the imagination, not upon external facts. Facts are the fruit-bearing witness of the use or misuse of the imagination. The only thing you ever need to concern yourself with is your own damn imagination. Nobody else's, not what the 3D is telling you, what you're using or what thoughts you're choosing with your imagination. You imagining watching this video. And you might say, Kim, I didn't imagine that. I turned on YouTube and boom, it said you got a new video. So I clicked. If you're new to my channel, you saw something in the thumbnail that made you want to watch it. All of that thinking, all of those choices You giving in to them was you using your imagination. You're using it constantly. The imagination does not shut off. Man becomes what he imagines. He has a self-determined history. Imagination is the way the truth of life revealed. We cannot get hold of truth with the logical mind. Where the natural man of sense sees a bud, imagination sees a rose full blown. Let's bring this back. What your logical mind, what the world of the senses shows you, has nothing to do with your choice to listen to the imagination. So, as he says, we're a logical, literal minded person. And we all are, by the way. We all have that within us. But it's understanding to not rely on that anymore, which can feel cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It can feel difficult to trust simply what you're imagining. That's the habits that we're changing as we are focusing on being a new version of ourselves. But we cannot get hold of truth with the logical mind. You see, what you imagine is the truth, and it is completely backward. It's exactly what we were taught the opposite of. Every one of us was conditioned to believe, to trust what we see in front of us. Seeing is believing. Imagination is pretend. It's fantasy. We were heavily conditioned in the opposite, not just from who raised us. In school, college, doesn't matter where in school, we're taught that what we imagine is being unrealistic. And again, I just keep hearing pretend. It's play, fake, not real. Rely on what's in front of you. Listen, I believe that my reality is my own consciousness projected out. But if you have just a little taste of a conspiracy theorist within you, don't you find that odd? Don't you think that's interesting? That we're all conditioned to believe our imagination is baloney, when in fact, the imagination is what we will experience in reality. Repeating for the millionth time, we cannot get hold of truth with the logical mind. Where the natural man of sense sees a bud or even a seed, imagination sees the full flower, sees a rose full bloom. Truth cannot be encompassed by facts. As we awaken to the imaginative life, we discover that to imagine a thing is to make it so, that a true judgment need not conform to the external reality to which it relates. The imaginative man does not deny the reality of the sensuous outer world of becoming, but he knows that it is the inner world of continuous imagination that is the force by which the sensuous outer world of becoming is brought to pass. He sees the outer world and all its happenings as projections of the inner world of imagination. To him, everything is a manifestation of the mental activity which goes on in man's imagination, without the sensuous, reasonable man being aware of it. It is a marvelous thing to find that you can imagine yourself into the state of your fulfilled desire and escape from the jails which ignorance built. The real man is a magnificent imagination. It is the self that must be awakened. Obviously, all of this is from Neville Goddard. So when you're struggling to believe in the imagination or to be able to imagine what you want to experience, how are you supposed to know what being in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship with your specific person feels like if you have never been in one of those relationships? It comes back down to the logical question. Why do you want it? Why do you want that person? What do you expect to do with that person? And I don't mean the dirty stuff. I mean, in general, what does a relationship even look like to you? You do know these answers. I mean, and just on the one side, have you ever seen a movie? Have you ever seen a TV show? What are you using as the example that you're thinking about, you're listening to as, yeah, I want to experience that. So again, keeping with the specific person example, if you're manifesting a relationship with your person, in your mind, what does the relationship look like? What are you using as the model? Meaning, what did you see in your day-to-day reality? What did you hear in your day-to-day reality that made you give into this desire to have the relationship, to manifest that person outside of the I have feelings for that person? What are you using as your baseline? Is it what you see in the movies, like the Hallmark movies, what relationships look like in the movies? Is it your own family? Is it a friend and their relationship? You do know what it would feel like to have your desire. You must be looking or thinking or comparing this to something in order to say yes to it. Even if the answer is that looks like it's fun, that looks like that's going to be fun to experience. I think it's going to feel good just to be in a relationship. I'm going to feel secure. I'm going to feel safe. I'm going to feel relieved. You do have the answers. If you can think of a desire, you can imagine. That was your imagination. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't overthink this. And it's very easy to slip back into the old habits of the man who was attached to the world of the senses, doubting, what ifing, fearing. Let me give you just a perspective from my own personal experience. My manifestation journey is if you've watched enough of my videos, you've probably already heard. It started with, manifesting money, then manifesting new love. That led to manifesting a specific person, manifesting a specific person back more than once, all of that. What I noticed about the change within me was seriously really nothing more than me breaking out of a habit of thinking about that subject in a certain way. That's it. Had everything to do with me and only me, just like whatever you're manifesting has everything to do with you and only you. What was my habit? What was my default for my love category? Think of it as a computer using its default, like your phone. Think of your Apple iPhone, because that's what I have, so I don't know the other phones. When you first get it, it's set up in a default mode. It's functioning at its default, meaning like your ringtones and the text tones. They're set at a default sound. So that way, if you don't go in and get specific with what ringtones you want to use, like you can change them per person too, right? You can be really specific. If you don't go in and change the settings of the wallpaper you're using, of the ringtones you're using, whether you hear the ringtone or you vibrate only, if you don't go in and mess with those, it's running on default. You'll get the boring ass default ringtones. What are your defaults around what you're manifesting? If they're not favorable, if it's really easy for you to assume that this is going to take forever to manifest your person, or you don't really believe that person could ever sincerely, truly love you, and you don't think relationships are meant to last, right? I don't know about you, but I know I had the conditioning of all good things must end. There's a beginning and an ending. Everything always goes to the place of being over. It's a shitty way of looking at things, but those are my defaults. Love doesn't last. People always fall out of love. Relationships don't last, blah, 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 blah. Those were my defaults. My default mode was it's normal for me to be left. It's normal for someone to fall out of love with me. I had to go in and change my ringtones. I had to go in and change my settings so I would stop going back to default mode. And I had to choose those settings, kind of like when we do an update And sometimes the updates cause us to go back to default mode. We got to reset some things. We got to change our settings until they become the new default mode, the new autopilot. But the answers to everything we want is already within us. We already know because we are always in connection to that higher self, to God, to universe. We're always in connection with the wholeness of the universe, the wholeness of the absolute, the wholeness of God. We are always in connection to it. That's our imagination. That is why we can imagine anything we want. Even if the conscious logical mind thinks, I don't know what this would be like. Yes, you do, or you wouldn't even be able to desire it. The answers are always within, and the answer is to always turn inward or go to the God state. Mind you, all states are God states. That's the truth. But your I amness, the answers are there. But the imagination, it's ever running in surplus. So what are we using it for? Using it for our good or misusing it to keep focusing on the world of the senses that seem to not be changing? They are changing. It might be so subtle, so teeny tiny nuanced, but it's changing. So what are you using the imagination for? I'm going to ask you again. What are you using it for? Your benefit or to keep yourself stuck in a reality you don't want to be in? As I said before, you might have to use some repetition. You might have to revisit who you're choosing to be or what state you're choosing to be in. You might have to remind yourself. And this is why we stay aware. We do our best to be in the observer mode, observing how we're responding to things. And that's one of the things that I experienced, staying aware of how and why I'm responding to things in my reality the way I do. That's how we become aware of our defaults. And from there, having the willingness to change those defaults, to be specific. I like to have specific ringers for specific people in my reality. I like being specific because I want what I want, and I want it the way I want it. I think we all have a touch of that. But this is how we get ourselves from being attached to reality and allowing it to flow, not judging it, not conditioning it. Our focus should be on the who we want to be, our wish fulfilled reality. But remember, you don't need to seek outside of yourself for anything, for any answers. They're here. And if you sincerely feel like you don't have answers, then you ask. Ask the universe, ask God, ask your higher self. An answer will come, and it will come quickly. The imagination, the only thing we ever need to manifest anything we want is just our imagination. So on that note, I'll see you tomorrow.